Hello, my name is Shayla. Today I'm going to be talking about um, child pageants, not just any pageants. I'm going to be talking about specifically the glitz pageants, the pageants that are held like in big cities, and moms are spending thousands of dollars on their kids and driving 200 miles to go to these pageants to show their kids off on stage and let them compete on who's the prettiest. These pageants, and most people's, a lot of in the eyes of a lot recently, especially after the popular show Tiaras and Tiaras came out, and it's a docu-series about these pageants, and a lot of people were seeing the harsh reality of these pageants. They're really dangerous, and they can affect, self-confidence to these, like, 6-year-olds, and it's, a little extremely unhealthy. Not gonna sugarcoat that. It's extremely unhealthy. I've read a lot of articles, and I've also personally watched the show Tiaras and Tiaras, obviously. You know, I believe that these pageants are dangerous, and I think they influence the personality these kids are just now building, because, your personality starts to emerge around, 7, 8, and then, but all your experience before that have built upon that and made it, start to emerge. These, competing on who's the prettiest and who has the best dress and the nicest makeup and smile, that's a little demoralizing for these little girls, because it's not giving them it's not giving them the skills, To the people defending these claims, they say that these pageants build self-confidence early on and help them kids develop friendships and social skills. I don't really think it does develop any social skills. I mean, it might, but, not long lasting. You're competing, these are your competition, and usually the competition is pretty fierce at these pageants, because the money in it is crazy. Like, you win so much money off these pageants, like, it's crazy. But the self-confidence, maybe, I can maybe see that, but the self-confidence these kids are building is around 4 and 5, but the same self-confidence they have built upon when they were young takes a turn for the worst when they're around 9, 10, 11, and they start going through puberty, because, these girls have been made to appear like 30-year-old women with perfect smiles and nice hair and face, like, spray tans, and their body starts rapidly changing, and they've got to deal with that. It's dangerous, because they've always felt as if they're beautiful, and they have to be perfect, and their skin starts breaking out, and it's crazy. It makes puberty even more hard than it already is for kids. To the self-confidence boosting, anyways, a good way to build your kids' self-confidence is putting them in a sport, or letting them pick up a hobby like music, or put them in t-ball or soccer. They build team skills. They can, learn to work with one another, and they can build confidence, and they can be able to let, whatever emotions they have out on the hobby or on the field, and there's no really harmful effects that come with, sports and stuff. It's usually, most people remember their, sports in elementary school as good moments, It's a little bit different for pageants. They should be competing on who has the best skill, and who is talented, who's willing to put in the work, not whose mom dressed them up the best and had the most money to put them in the best dress and make sure their hair was done nice, There's a therapy article written by a professional therapist, and they look into the psychological effects, and it opens up the door for these kids to have self-image issues and eating disorders, trying to make sure they're the skinniest, because a lot of these girls are competing in these pageants even when they're older, 7, 15, 16, 17, those ages, and eating disorders are already amplified in girls at that age, because you try to look the best and be like everybody else, and it's a little bit dangerous when you're in pageants too. Another issue with these pageants is the regulation of age. There's no regulation of age. The only rule that I could find was that if a child can sit themselves up, they can enter a beauty pageant. Moms can rake in a lot of money for their, 6-month-old winning a glitz pageant, and where's the line between a beauty pageant and child labor, These moms are making money off their kid, why is that allowed? Like, that, there's no regulation. That seems crazy to me. And you also gotta remember that these kids are young that are competing in these like pageants, and they're waking up at 6 a.m. and going to bed at 6 p.m. and they've got to stay up the whole day because they got to compete, and they got to get crowned, and they got to get their makeup done, they got to get their hair done. A lot of moms have resorted to what they call in the pageant world pageant crack, and that is basically just caffeine, just pixie sticks, caffeine, soda, candy, you know, just anything to keep their kids up and keep them excited. Which I can't even imagine the freaking sugar crash they get from that. But a really controversial moment in just on the internet basically was the go-go juice. That's the one of the most famous girls from Toddler and Tiaras was Honey Boo Boo, and her mama gave her go-go juice, and it was a mixture of Red Bull and Mountain Dew. That is crazy. A 20-ounce serving of Mountain Dew has about 91 milligrams caffeine, and a 8.4-ounce serving of Red Bull has about 81 milligrams of caffeine. And that together, that's a little under 200 milligrams caffeine for one serving. I don't know how much she gave her, you know, in a day. We can't see that, you know. But a child, Honey Boo Boo's age at the time, she was 6 years old. You can only have about 45 milligrams of caffeine. That's dangerous. And this is not just, you know, not common thing. Like, all pageant moms do it. Like, it's crazy. And that's the only way you can get these kids to stay up, because they can't let them go to take a nap when they got their full, you know, makeup done. They get it everywhere, so you gotta keep them up. And the last point that I make, that I believe is the most serious, is the sexualization of these little girls. 5-year-olds in fake tans and you know, nails and a perfect smile, skimpy outfits. With the perfect smile, I'll show you one of the winners of one of the most popular glitz pageants in Las Vegas. This is her. Now, does she look like the 7-year-old girl she is? She looks about 30 or 25. She looks grown. Her smile is a flipper, is what they call it, and it's to make the perfect smile and not let their, you know, 7-year-old teeth come out, which when 7-year-olds have imperfections, what's the point of making them look so grown? Why is that? What's the underlying, you know, what's the purpose? It seems a little weird, and it seems like a breeding ground for sexual predators to me. And I don't think it's right. And I think it's disgusting, and I think a solution to this is put an age, you know, an age minimum, which is about 14, I think, you know, and I think that would be an excellent solution to the problem that glitz pageants have. It's gross, and that, you know, they need to put a better restriction, and we need to look into it and take it seriously.